5 days later, the man who commanded that mission was a man named Pete Conrad. He was America's shortest astronaut, 5'6". When Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, he said that was one small step for man. When Pete Conrad stepped on the moon, he said that may have been a small step for Neil, but sure was a long one for me. And ever since then, NASA learned its lesson. You don't launch rockets near light. This particular launch umbilical tower platform, 5 moon rockets took off from top of it, and numerous space shuttles. It's like a ship inside. A lot of electronic equipment, plumbing for the fuel piping. But why do we have a crawler transporter? Why a big tractor? Because the original concept for getting the moon rocket out to the launch pad, that was going to be a barge channel on your right. They were going to float the moon rocket out vertically. But then the engineers figured any kind of winds, it would sway too much. Then they thought about putting railroad tracks down. Too much weight, it would just sink into the swamp. So a couple of engineers, including our first center director, Kurt Diebes, from Heidelberg, Germany, they went to a coal mine up in Kentucky, and they saw those big strip mine shovels mounted on tracked vehicles, and that's when they came up with the idea of that big crawler transporter. So it has 4 assembly areas. Why do you need 4 assembly areas if you're only launching 1 moon rocket? Because the original concept, envisioned by Dr. Werner von Braun, is that they were going to launch 30 moon rockets a year. A year. That was the original concept. Reality came into play, and they only launched a total of 13 of them over nearly a 7-year period. So yes, they overbuilt the building. During the shuttle days, they only used this side of the building to assemble the space shuttles vertically. During the Apollo days, they would use both the front and one of the back areas. In 1969, we had 3 moon rockets in different levels of assembly in that building. That was the only time. And then on a day like today with the sea fog coming in, yes, there could be clouds toward the top of the building, inside. But the biggest wise tale associated with that building is they would tell you that there'd be sun shining outside and rainstorms inside the building, that the building had its own weather. That's nothing more than a Pinocchio story. The only time it rained in the building is when the roof wasn't on, or the doors weren't up yet, and rain clouds went through the openings. But if you go in there on a hot July afternoon, you will have water hitting your head. It's not rain, it's called condensation. Welcome to Florida. Then the grandstands, everybody thinks this is where the VIPs sit. Nope, that's reserved for employees and their families. But you can't have 15,000 employees out here, so it's the employees who won the lottery within their work section can bring their families out. Then look to your left, you see the American flag? The base of the flagpole, you see a big blue box? That's the countdown clock that some of you have seen on television or the movies. But that's not the actual clock you saw. They changed out the clock a little more than a year ago. Now it's like a big stadium video clock. The original clock, since Apollo 12, they want to put it on display at the visitors complex once they figure out how to work it. And then the big, on your right, the big birds soaring around the assembly building, those are vultures. And they're just taking advantage of the wind currents going up the side of the building. The light green panels, translucent fiberglass that allows sunlight to come in. So when you're inside the building, it looks like you're standing inside of a very large cathedral. Quick, get your pictures before this sea fog comes in and surrounds the building. Don't take pictures through the glass, we'll get off the bus. But before you jump off, there's a lot to see right here. Let me give you a quick thumbnail sketch. The American flag painted on the concrete there, Nobody believed us how big the flag was, so they painted a portion of the flag on the concrete. To your right, that armored personnel carrier, remember the closest humans to a launch other than the astronauts, were firemen inside 2 of those tanks, 1 mile away. Also, the astronauts had their own tank with the engine on and the back door open at the base of some slide wires or zip lines, so the astronauts could evacuate themselves away from the launch pad. You gotta give them a chance. That white thing on top of the red trailer, remember the launch abort rocket on top of the Orion capsule to pull the capsule free? That's a full-scale mock-up. Go over there and read the sign and see how fast that thing is going to go if they ever have to use it. It will open your eyes. And then the gray thing, the white box at the end of it, that's the actual swing arm or access arm that astronauts walked across to get aboard the space shuttle at Pad A. Remember now Pad A belongs to SpaceX? So NASA had to remove all their historical artifacts off the launch pad. So they want to put that on display at the visitors complex, but they can't figure out where. So they put it here for you.